All right, it's Monday. Welcome back to class. It's so funny this because I've been shaving for so long. This is what my father thought about stubble. He's like, it looks it looks wrong. It looks untidy, disorderly, which is funny. And I have to say, it's like I'm not actually, because usually I'm trying to present something specifically for some other reason. This isn't that. I'm returning myself quite heavily back to the masculine world. And so the quickest way for me to do that is to grow a beard. And so I have to go through this transitionary phase of disheveledness, which for the majority of or not the majority, if we took the last 100 years, the majority of that time in the masculine world, it was completely unacceptable to present yourself like this, unless you were hungover. This is what this look is. This stubble look. According to my father's generation, he would always say, it's like, you either have a beard or you don't. Obviously, there's a time in the middle. But the fact when we got to a place where people were perpetually presenting this look is a strange one, just so you all know. And because I've used those things, I use shaving as a way to invoke hyper, or to display, in my mind, hyper, also to the feminine, but also to display hyper discipline. Because for me, it takes hyper I have to shave every day to present that. And so there was a combination. It was that, and as I've said, that is a display of feminization. And if you maintain your masculinity within that feminization, you are presenting a civilized archetype in more than likely what is in the hopes of extending that. And also, if you want to present as a feminine, the beard really does throw it off. And so just another anecdote, it's like if I look to the mirror now to find Amber, which is what I call my female representative, it's like she's not there, and then I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, it's like, that's the thing. I'm like saying goodbye to Amber for a while, because I need to then complete the whole point, which is something that is a lot longer than a year. And it's strange. It's like I can notice. So, and this is the weirdest thing, I think, by far. My top, from my waist up, except my face, my body, responds very well to a masculine thing. Like I can put, and I'm going to start doing weights again. I've spent the majority of my working life as a very intensely manual labor. So it's like that comes back very quick. Like little things, like I lifted weights yesterday. It's literally the strain on my wrist to lift weights. Because look at these little things. They've turned into little pop sticks. The coarseness of my hands. I've never had such delicate, soft hands. I've always had calluses and strong hand, all these things. So those cues, there's multiple things going on that will flick me back. Now, the one thing from the masculine, I could never, my lower body could never worked properly. It never had the same response. And this is all tied to a pelvic malfunction that was kind of severely forward, and it was the feminine movements, which just seems like counterintuitive, but not really, because it's kind of an archetype of women to be more developed on the lower side, and this is because their movements. So literally, I'm pretty sure that, like, and this could be hyper. This could have been hyper. What's the word? Developed by things like media and stereotypes. Because if you take a stereotype of, say, Superman, he usually has tiny little legs and a huge big top. And if you take an archetype of a hyper feminine woman, a lot of times they have big hips and big legs. And so we are literally like opposite. And I think that we used to do a better job in balancing out ourselves. And things like this is the like skipping leg day thing, but I don't think it's that simple. It's not just a matter of like, oh, force yourself to do squats and things like that, because it's like I didn't do any squats. The time that I finally got my bum and my legs, although it's weird as well because my legs look skinny, they're just working completely different. It's not just brute force muscle, it's the connection between the mind and the muscle. And this comes, I'm sure, in women because there is a higher social pressure for them to dance, like that is, and it's just something like, I honestly, as a man, I'm like, I had this expectation of women to be able to dance and to move and do these things, and it's not really like that in the true reality. It's just a kind of false thing. I'm like, oh, that women do that and men do that. It's not really like that. And so the same as I feel, inadequate towards those things, those expectations of women are probably causing troubles as well, because it isn't just innate. It's like, but I think so from the opposite side, it's like women expect men to be brave, strong, and kind of stoically like deal with things. And I think a lot of men are failing to meet this because we only see hyper displays of this. And the same as men are expecting women to be, to be able to dance and move and have sexual stuff to do with physicality and all these things. And a lot of times it's a hyper manifestation as well. So everybody in the middle, which is the majority of everyone now who isn't in an extreme, is left to feel inadequate. And I think it's literally tearing us all apart. And so just by pure scientific reinforcement, my strategy to have a healthy body needs to be top half masculine and bottom half feminine, which includes things like wearing like raised heels and dancing, because nothing has, and this is the thing as well. It's like, because I am strong, my top half is strong because of work. I wasn't a bodybuilder. I didn't work out in a gym. Very rarely. I did one little portion of it. And I found that, the top half responds really well. Bottom half made things worse because I didn't have the specific postural alignment. And that was a far bigger problem than I think a personal trainer or a kind of gym trainer or even a physio or chiro. I think it's sitting somewhere else. I think we are attempting to present falsely hyper gender specific silhouettes almost, and it's causing a lot of trouble. And it's being like encouraged as well. My children's mum used to give me shit. She'd say, "Oh, you've got a girl's bum," and so then I would get subconscious about it, I would always have this little belly thing, which I've heard a lot of girls talk about. But in reality, it's like my body works better when my bum's pushed right back, and a big arch, which is feminine. And what I've found is if you try and overcompensate, you actually end up damaging things. And so, yeah, I think it's pretty well displayed when we see specifically men from Polynesian areas who are still, it's like if you think of, obviously there's the kind of hyper, like if we take Maui off Moana, he's a hyper developed up the top, but then still very, very well developed below the waist. And that's like they had a different culture where there wasn't the same, I think personality wise and their position in the tribe was hyper reinforced, but they didn't have as many constraints to do with clothing and to do with movement and whereas like we've got, coming from an English or British background, we've got to stick up our ass. And I honestly think that this was counteracted by time at sea, which is the opposite of, say, dancing and things like that. We would be dancing if you were on a naval ship for the hundreds and hundreds of years that we've done that. You were dancing every day, whether you knew it or not. You were reacting to the moving floor, and this would have developed the lower muscles, and I think the same applies for riding a horse. I think a horse is something that we have, and whereas Polynesians didn't have horses and their ships were different as well. They weren't standing on them. They were, for the most part, they're kind of, they still have that hyper developed, but they didn't have these cultural whatever. And these, like, it sounds crazy, but it's like, this is how, as we scaled up our naval ships, instantly you're on a very complicated machine. You need a hierarchy. You need displays of hierarchy. And I think the more complicated those machines got, those ships, the more hyper developed those positions were, and the same on horseback. But yeah, so I'm going to more than likely, because I think it's, I just think it's, I don't like the feeling of being reliant on things to be content. And also I feel that I feel like I've got more of a hold on it. So I can be like, all right, I've conceptualized all of this really weird stuff. And I can sit on the work that I've done rather than, physicality and stuff like that, which was a bit of a concern. Like I was like, I better feminize before I start punching people. And now if anyone kind of trespasses, I can you should look at the stuff I've done and then get back to me when you have something appropriate to respond to on, the thousands of hours of things I've done, and then just kind of not be in positions where I have to suffer fools. And yeah, so I'm going to continue on from what I was speaking about yesterday about so-called, the obsession with pedophilia and then the obsession with so-called pedophilia. I strongly believe that there is a instinctual response, majoritively coming from women and mothers, that they unconsciously or subconsciously are aware that they are being led astray. There's something, the way our culture is developing is out of sync with our ancestral patterns. And so when this happens, it is normal to look to leadership, because that is, makes sense. It's like, we're going the wrong way. There must be the leader. And then it's kind of something is, and then again, as a mothering instinct, is something is coming for my children. Something's going to hurt my children. And I think that we are, in fact, in this moment, surrounded by what could only be described as like intensely created and promoted and distributed like pedophile propaganda. It is fucking everywhere. And it is from this that the hyper, but it's sitting in the unconscious. It's kind of very specifically speaking to all different. It's splitting everyone up. It's not being direct. It's hijacked cultural, storytelling and cultural, like, tribal communicate, all these things, but is being distributed en masse. It's being broadcast around the world, and so it's sitting in the position that is doing this, and it's it's too short, so it's corrupting. It's like, we've lived, if you're a certain age, you've lived through a thing where you've seen content of, like, say, from Disney or something like that, that has, really good things, like really good morals, really good story, all these whatever. And now this is the same. And so there's like, they've almost taken the IP, the trust and everything that was built up by what was in fact thousands and thousands of brilliantly, like, skilled craftsmen and artists and writers and things like that, like thousands. And we're witnessing the purchase of this IP, which is the I think an information product or whatever it is. The reputation has been purchased, and it's been downsized. It's, the people have gone, the artists are gone, the animators are gone, the writers in a lot of ways are gone, everything's going down. And it's being misused to distribute what I think is accidental. And this is, like, honestly, this is the craziest shit to explain, because as a man, as a father, as a protective person, whatever, all these things, the first response is outrage and is violence. It's like, literally, it's like, this is fucked. We need to stop this, all these things. From enough experience doing this stuff, I know that we need to get further in. We need to find out more. This is too large and too highly distributed. And there's so many reasons, but we need to get to more specific reasons while we are also bringing it to everyone's awareness. And I honestly believe that what is being presented as children's content is a display of comfort that has come from a previously discriminated against portion of our culture, but is, because of that, it's blinded to the nuanced perception of multiple demographics. And the over saturation of promotion, which is purely just very, very inhuman, very mechanical, very like disconnected commercial like marketing strategy is to align yourself with a rising tide. And then this is kind of assisted on both sides. So it's like that when there's, and it gets very specific. It's like the rising LGBTQ pride fucking movement. Okay, it's like that. There's a few things that are certain. That was needed. I'd argue it didn't need to be promoted, and it wasn't a bandwagon that everyone should have jumped on in order to sell things. But that is just fucking, that is business and finance, and that it's, you know, it shows how cold and calculating and kind of disconnected from humanity those things are. But what I believe is happened, there has been a rush, like a bubble of this promotion and this association, and or like a utopianism flowing from an internal narrative, an internal dialogue from you know, you could claim them as victims of the discrimination, but a lot of times they're actually second or third generation receivers of a narrative of victims. So then they may have partially received some discrimination, but more than likely they've actually just been indoctrinated by a culture that has needed to build a mythology to shield itself from hate and discrimination, all these things. And but it's been done with very blunt instruments. So it's like promotion. We need to promote our way and celebrate our way and Mardi Gras our way and write books and put this everywhere and to normalize it, because no one should have to feel like I felt, not me personally, I'm speaking in the words of these people that experience this discrimination. And then what is happening? We are discovering this this homosexual kind of shadow culture of what I think in their words would be described as a shielding and protection of people, but it's haphazardly forming, and it's random and chaotic, and it is a display from a dispossessed and discriminated against minority. And so the over promotion has uncovered a kind of unspoken subculture of grooming, which and again, I have to, it's so something you might go, why are you protecting these people? And the answer is because I'm trying to prevent a fucking repeat and just an endless cycle of this up and down. So the responsible thing is there needs to be an appropriate telling of this subculture, warts and all, you know, and there will be outrage, I believe. And it isn't, and there needs to be then a correction. It's like this isn't a norm. This isn't the heterosexual version of Cinderella and Snow White. Oh, sorry, the homosexual version of Cinderella and Snow White that you've attempted to spread around the world. This is a conveyor belt that you've built to satisfy your purely sexual gratification. And At the same time, there has been an increase in the dispersuasion onto heterosexual men that they're similar, which was best displayed by like the gentleman archetype. There's similar inclination to care for and to oversee and to shield young women is wrong. And there are just parties that have profited from that. So 100 years ago, if you were a wealthy man, there was no problem at all with you courting young women that would have been considered underage. And the truth is that in the majority of cases actually wasn't sexual. We were a very, very kind of pent up and like uptight and like very sexually like there was a lot of barriers to slow down sexuality within our culture. There was long courting. There was long kind of long processes and all these like this etiquette and there was all these things from my culture. Other cultures, no, they're all different. There's all different cultures. There was homosexuality in all different ways, but it sat in almost like a repurpose because it was seen by the culture that it was not to overshadow the heterosexual and the marital traditions, because there was an innate awareness and a kind of distributed awareness that these types of relationships could lead to a corruption of our overall culture and a degradation. And this applied everywhere. This applied in like things like take it completely out of sex. Say take drinking. There was drinking, and see, there was a lot of drinking, but drinking was drinking was literally what there was to drink. So a lot of people, sailors, workers, all these things would drink a lot, but the alcohol was very low level alcohol, and the water was poisonous, and so they would drinking was kind of like just there. But then this phenomenon of kind of binge drinking has always been discouraged in my culture, but I would argue, not in Australian culture. And that displays to me that Australian culture is a mutiny of British culture in its form, that most people, in its stereotypical hyper manifestation that most people would understand, the heavy drinking, heavy swear, all these things. It's the culture of a mutiny. It's the culture of a crew or a workforce that has that is rebelling from the hyper constraint of a very puritanical, very ordered, very disciplined culture. And this was always present even within our culture, but it was regulated by disciplinarians or by, whether it's on a ship, it'd be captains of the ship, or, the hierarchy of the ship, discipline. Same in the military. There would be a time when you're a disciplined soldier. There is a time when you're allowed R&R and you're allowed off. We've always had this to and fro. Now all we have is the celebratory acts of debauchery, and the discipline is false. There is no discipline, and I think this is where the kind of homosexual thing has fitted in, because there has been a mass distributed and a mass promoted false telling of what it is that discipline does. It has been falsely presented as a harmful thing. It causes distress. It causes you to have issues, and this is a complete psychiatric and kind of false interpretation. It is a self-serving, childish ideology to kind of claim itself to falsely be liberating people from overbearing discipline and overbearing order, in order to what they perceive would be to usher us into a free spirit kind of hippie utopia. And so everything piled upon this is essentially a battle between discipline and order and chaos and debauchery. But it is falsely and continuously presented as liberation, because I think that's just that's just a very strong battleground to draw in order to enact mass societal change. And I think traditionally on the timelines we've experienced, whether this is a socialist revolution, a Republican revolution, any of these things, like it's the party, the celebration, the excess, and the kind of the fog of, like we could say there's a fog of war. It's like there's the fog of war and then there's the fog of victory, kind of overshadows and puts this kind of territory between the act of revolution, and then the inevitable disclosure and the inevitable realization that liberation is false, is flawed. And this can happen, I think, both ways. This can happen a totalitarian, authoritarian revolution like we've seen in Iran. It's very important, I think, for everyone in the Western world to watch exactly what this government is going to enact onto its people to remain in power. It's already turned the internet off. It's turned off all these things. It's sent people out to patrol this stuff. It's this is what we are experiencing everywhere. It's just that weirdly we have two extremes. So we have a authoritarian, totalitarian, very, very, very disciplined and selective religious cult, experiencing an uprising and defending against it. And then in Australia, we have the exact opposite. We have the Republican debaucherous cult doing the same exact behavior. And what is even stranger is that those two, the authoritarian of the Islamic world and the liberation of the Western world, they are acting as allies in kind of a symbiotic war against my culture, my British, English, Christian culture. And it does self-service, like the same way that even in our culture there was, the presentation of ultra disciplined, ultra puritanical, ultra ordered, ultra things, and then there was kind of a shadow industry of prostitution and drugs and things like that. That existed. I'm not going to pretend it didn't. This is the same, and there is a mass movement of people. So it's like our ultra left, ultra liberal, LBGTQ promoting trans surgery, trans ideology is just filling a demand from the Islamic world for these people, and this has been going on for thousands of years. It is not a liberation of our culture. It is a attack on our culture. It is a mistelling of our culture. It is a false, celebratory surrender, misinterpreted or mispromoted as a utopian socialist vision. And there is interplay at all levels between these two societies. And this is where it is, I believe, being subconsciously perceived by mothers in our country, whether they're in support or not in support. There is just a hyper awareness towards pedophilia. And I think this is multifaceted as well, because it's, how can I approach this? Almost all, if you're from a traditional, English, Irish, Scottish, Welsh, Christian, Celtic, European background, all of those cultures were subjected to this ultra kind of disciplined, ultra puritanical, ultra hyper concerned with etiquette and with reputation and order and sacrifice and commitment and loyalty, all these things. You will be perceiving this at some level as an invasion, and then so your thing is to protect children, and it is all around you, and you might not be seeing it, but it is all around you. Then what's happening at the same time is there is this kind of Epstein phenomenon, again, which is only really subconsciously promoting the act of prostitution of children, and the act of turning our entire sexual desire system into an industry, as opposed to as an etiquette, and more specifically as a romantic etiquette. And then we are drawing up boundaries on either side of this war. So the women that have been promoting, distributing, supporting, and celebrating kind of an LBGTQ pride, like free love, free spirit, Woodstock-esque fucking, culture where it takes a village to raise a child, all these things, which are true, but they're kind of bastardizations of that. It's like it takes a village of highly dedicated, highly loyal, highly religious, dutiful, people to raise a child, not a fucking alcoholic, drug infused fucking dance music fucking, festival bullshit fucking village. And so those are the people that are lining up against what they're declaring as pedophiles, what I would declare as so-called pedophiles, because this industry of supplying, not like supplying women, adolescent women, just, teenager women, to wealthy and successful men in order to blackmail them, that wouldn't have worked 100 years ago, because those men just would have been courting those women for long-term relationships. See, the men are hemmed in on both ends. If the men are already married, or they already have children, they already have stuff, our our marriage system and our legal systems in around that are a prison, because our culture is being enforced that it has to be progressive. And so if you happen to be, married, have children, before you are realizing how hemmed in you are by this culture that is sliding, and before you're getting intuitively activated to the invasion onto your culture, the only way out of that is to run a gauntlet of fucking a progressive family law or court system in which you are going to be absolutely eviscerated by that culture. And that's before you even get to the point of you might be courting a young woman. And so this is the inevitable result, is a commercialization, a supply and demand, an industry forms of purely providing the sexual, which is, and this is the thing, it's like those people paid for that service. They paid, and the service of prostitution is to pay for discretion. The moment that's been used to blackmail, mass portions of people, it's like these are all connected. And I don't have to sit here and promote anything or condone anything to see that this flow of humanity of our different cultures, in the midst of a multicultural bombardment, there are grey areas and there are blind spots and there are openings that have formed within business and industry to fill these voids. And then what's worse is, so the only reason you'd need to do it is secretively, is because the culture is moving away from it. And the way it did that is to frame men, successful men or wealthy men, as, selfish con men or selfish, destructive elements of our society. That's the socialist bent. But then this socialism in response and by literally its weaponization is to weaponize the desires of successful men to select younger women, that is instinctual. That is the basis of almost every one of our folk traditions, of our stories and everything like that. And it is the entire power of this entire fucking, multi-decade long war now on the fact that men cannot say that they're attracted and are desiring of younger women. That's it. That's what happens when something is restricted. An entire industry is formed to provide these people with the need. And even what's even worse is the need has been turned into sexual, and it isn't. It isn't. The desires of men, like men that are pursuing high levels of success, they're doing it a lot of times out of an egalitarian, culture of giving back and of providing something and of improving and all these things. When they feel like they've reached that, their natural inclination, their natural instinct is to select the highest level of mate, which is a young, beautiful woman who is uncorrupted by the culture that they're coming into contact with. And that is not a sexual desire. Or on the spectrum, it's like that sexual desire might be 10%. It is a instinctual, it's kind of a combination. It's like protective. It's a status thing. It is a thing to draw them back and reconnect with a younger generation. It's an exploratory thing to understand the younger generations. There's lots of reasons why men, specifically successful men, it's actually all men, but specifically successful men, self-regulate and kind of self-determine that they are in a position where they can do that. See, and that's important. So it's important for there to be some type of limitation. Otherwise, the young women would be just bombarded by annoying men. And again, this has been filled by pornography in the hopes to fill all these men's desires. So if men are already experiencing young women in the form of pornography, then there's no reason for them to try harder in anything or to even present anything because they're already given the key to their like unconscious and psychological desires in the form of pornography. Again, it's a socialized, socialist, communist solution to a problem that is actually a pressure on humanity to improve. So it is like the same way as Trump declares these narco-terrorists as narco-terrorists. It's like these porno terrorists and this OnlyFans terrorists, the people, the masterminds behind these industries, they are terrorists. They are hitting in our society at the exact point that will bring us degradation and destruction. Because we're basically giving men exactly what they would hope to achieve if they were the ultimate displays of success, freely and willingly. They get it. And in a way that's corrupted. So it's not, you don't get to go on a date with a young woman. You get to watch a young woman pretending to be even younger in a lot of cases do the most debaucherous thing, which corrupts both the identity of young women and the chivalrous kind of nature that would be instinctively there and that used to be celebrated by our culture. So you take someone like, Prince Charming and Cinderella, or Prince Charming and Snow White, all these things. It's like there was an age gap there. It was quite common for royalty to do lots of different things, lots of different people, and then to be persuaded to find a pure kind of woman of the highest level, and then do that. That's what our culture is. And this is a display of what happens under the blanket of multiculturalism, is that it's like a free thing for all the cultures to have wars between each other. And so this becomes the metric of women to self-protect their inaction, their failure to protect their children and their societies. They are relieved from that, from the exposure of that by pointing fingers at the men doing this thing, especially the successful men. And it is a kind of hyper manifestation of the women. See, certain age of women have always had to defend their men from from young women, because the men want the young women because of their beauty and status and purity and innocence and all these things. And the young women traditionally wanted the older men that were successful because they were successful. So it's like a shortcut. And so older women, married women, older mothers have forever been defending against young women. What we have now is and it seems to be what we continuously are finding all over the place, is our extraction and cultural kind of landmines being placed in key positions that are so specific and so crucial to the overall function of our society that they are planned. They have to be planned. It is sabotage of our culture, it's sabotage of our society. And it is all being defended by cultural taboos to not mention things. It is now culturally taboo for an older man to openly pursue a younger woman. And in the vacuum of that, what is actually being promoted is a inversion of that, in which older men, homosexual men, are celebrating their desire for young homosexual men, even if they're not homosexual, and in a lot of cases, them just turning the young men into Cinderella under the blanket of LGBTQ. And this is being celebrated. So it's like the entire fucking culture of this socialist thing is preventing older men from pursuing younger women, because that is the only thing that will balance this out. Because it's if there is a younger successful, like a younger woman who's whatever aligned with this thing enough to, she's not going on with the culture of drugs and alcohol and sex and drug like debauchery and excess and materialism and all these things enough to still have the thing towards an older man. And the younger man and the older man, is still holding the culture of chivalry and gentlemanliness and all these things to do that. But the entire society is attempting to keep those two things apart, even to the point of completely bastardizing the whole desirous phenomenon into what is being displayed by the Epstein files and this thing. It's really bad. It's really bad because what it does is there are strange lines all over the place to do with interaction between men and women and children. So it's like there is, and I feel like I have a strange kind of viewpoint at this because if I take my father was very disconnected. There wasn't a lot of affection. It was very whatever. And that has, I suppose it hindered me a little bit, but it also helped me. And I continue some of that on with my own children because it's, it's important. But then I'm also was more affectionate to my children because I think there's both in there. I think it's possible for us to do both. But then there is this strange, and we really can't be surprised because we're bombarded by it. And I really feel like we almost have, if we think of the response towards the pandemic and then the vaccination, all these things, like the way that the last few generations have been exposed to, hypersexual content freely and openly and willing, like all these things. And the fact that does have a tendency to display incestual or fucking like very childish themes and all these things, because it's obviously like hitting on a taboo thing, and that's quite often how what traditionally would be described as sexual perversions are formed. If this was a phenomenon going on 100 years ago with this type of thing, it's like then without any of these things, it's like it really shocks me to even think about what potentially is going on now. And we need to get back to our traditions, and to do that, we need to hear. So if I display the heterosexual thing, it's like in my mind as a heterosexual man, as a father, all these things, it's like, and this is kind of what I've displayed with Donald Trump's granddaughter, who's 18. It's like it's not like I wouldn't have thought she was beautiful when she was 16 or 15. It's just that within my very heavily, regulated culture that I was raised under, I was raised to be a gentleman and to court those things. Not always. Sometimes I go out, I have gone out in the part, like I go out to be sexual and to do these things, and that's a different thing. So you go to a place where people are doing that. That's an agreed upon thing. That's not the same. And it's not all led by sex or sexual desire. It's like we have a whole lot of other things going on. And these things aren't able to happen when we're surrounded by over-sexualization. And it ruins everything. It ruins and destroys all the things that, like the actual phenomenons in the world that are kind of really wonderful, and they're being falsely all moved around. And I think that there isn't, this could be where it's like I have to like give everyone their fucking dues in order to, or everyone them, the benefit of the doubt in order to hopefully get somewhere that's whatever. So say if I think of homosexual relationships and all these things, the homosexual archetype is far too over-sexualized. Obviously, because they're men, and the men have a, traditionally have a kind of higher sex thing, and then obviously when there's more two men, that goes on. It was discriminated against subculture, and so there's this. It has its own culture, and basically it's only displaying the icons of its culture. It's not getting into detail. It doesn't have the mythology. There are mythologies in the past, one of them specifically, like if you think of Achilles and Patroclus, which is a Greek story. Achilles, obviously, all these things that existed, and that was a very, very high level of narrative, very, very highly, that's why we're still talking about it. It didn't have any like sexuality involved in it. It was all romance, to the point where he avenges his lover in this. It's like that is the same as Cinderella. That can exist, but it can't exist in a world that is too discriminatory. And so this is what we have. And we have to take responsibility for the fact that, and specifically me, my culture is the one that discriminated against, but it was before my time, and I don't know, and whatever. So there seems to be a pattern that if there is heavy discrimination, if there is heavy racism or, abuse and bigotry or inflicted onto a population, that they will develop an underground subculture that will be, it is constantly affected by that underground nature. It is not out in the open, and it is not whatever. It seems then in the form of the LGBTQ, it seems to have elevated and pushed out of that discrimination. And then now it is celebrating its underground subculture. And then there is a pushback onto that, because what happens in the dark, in secret, is in a subculture will not fucking be celebrated at the same levels. And this is what's happening. It's like, well, you all said the quiet bit out loud, and you've all you've done the thing now. You've celebrated it, and now it's time to not to push back overly, but we need to push back enough to be like, hang on. One, you've attempted to corrupt what could be a display in heterosexuality as the ultimate civilizational force, in the thing of a older successful man and a young kind of pure woman. That is supposed to work because it bridges a huge kind of swathe of our population, and it is complementary, and it kind of leads to progression of civilization. So in order to achieve, the celebration of your subculture, your underground and secretive subculture, you've cast doubt and attempted to corrupt, maybe not directly, but kind of indirectly, this, and then called it the same, because like hurt people. So it's basically like the gay people who were called, whatever, all these names and all these things, all the homosexual people, they've attacked heterosexuality, and they've, in combination with women, because the women already are in defense of the younger women, they have teamed up and created this, and now this is the pushback. This is like, well, you have hypersexualized the world. It was the homosexual kind of scenes that were hypersexual. It was the homosexual scenes that were hyper drug, hyper fucking dance music, hyper fucking debauchery, hyper, like, you're not procreating, so there's a hyper fucking, response to be in the moment and not be concerned with the future, and then you can then start to just evolve and start seeing human beings as like I said, a conveyor belt of sexual devices coming down at you, and that is what I see. And then it is that pressure that is pushed into the heterosexual because it's like, what do men have? It's like that men basically, you're a teenager, you're this thing, then you either get married and have kids, and then you're just on the fucking shit the whole time because the whole culture doesn't listen to you, whatever. If you leave, you're an arsehole and you're the worst person in the world. If you chase another woman or a younger woman, or you're the worst person in the world, and then to the point where you're then getting, and even if you're successful, even if you're up there with the most successful people in the world, even if you sneakily go and fucking pay for this thing, it's like you're then still being blackmailed. But it's like, step back, it's like, why were they having to do it like that? Why? When the previous generations all had younger wives and these things, is because of the culture. Because the homosexual culture invaded every single territory on Earth. Because it's like, when you are hyper liberated and freed, that kept going. It's like you were free to do what you want, literally, and you did. And then you kept talking about that you're doing what you want. And then we can now see the fruits of your labors. It's like we now have, mutilated fucking children and sterilized children and hypersexualized children. And that is being displayed as A-OK, blatantly everywhere. And I guarantee still that a 39-year-old man trying to pursue an 18-year-old woman is now the worst thing on earth. And it's like an oversimplification. I think there's a lot of people who wanted to jump on there like, oh, they want everyone to be princesses and there's this and this. It's like, no, we don't want everyone to be princesses. We have to hold that there so that this is continued. And then the answer is from you is to kill both of them. It's to kill, like, so the response from the LGBTQ if you take Cinderella and Prince Charming, is to turn Prince Charming into a fucking sniveling fucking tech CEO or software developer in a back alleyway on an island, paying Cinderella, who's actually a sex slave, to purely just have sex. And I can't see that, if it's like, if the evil stepmother and the stepsisters got together, it's like, that's what they would have done. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, if the evil stepsisters got together and they, they ganged up with the pedophiles who were hypersexualizing and commoditizing children for sexual fucking gratification. It's like, yeah. Well, when you say that, it's like, yeah, Cinderella does seem like kind of like a high level archetypal story to attempt to enact some type of order. It just, and the problem is, it's like, and everybody's losing out. So, and this is where I have to then go. It's like, this doesn't mean all out fucking war against gay people, against LGBTQ plus. It means I will take responsibility for the pressure that we placed on that subculture, on that community, on those people. That is what led to this inevitable, uprising, and then attempted, conquering. And then while you're being pushed back, it's like you need to land in the place where you have that culture or something like it. It's like, I can sit there and see a homosexual fucking story of Cinderella, but it doesn't involve fucking, surgery and pills and sex shops and fucking and men's toilets and gay bars and ecstasy and cocaine and fucking lights and flashing and Mardi Gras and beads, and it's like that. You've taken everything from the world, like a eccentric fucking poofter that's gathering up fucking trinkets and putting them around their house. It's like, you've done that with our culture. You took the fucking unicorn, which is a display by the Scottish people of capturing a fucking impossible to catch a beast. You've taken the rainbow from the Bible, and the message to the world that God won't fucking flood us again. You've taken love. Love is love. It's like that. Okay, well, love isn't love. If you love sex, then you will corrupt your fucking virtues in order to gain sex from a fucking never-ending and ever decreasing in age fucking cohort of people that you can put power over. And the funniest thing is, if you see what's presented by older women and homosexuals, by an older man pursuing a younger woman, is that it's about power, and it's about balancing power, not about having overbearing power. Older men do have power over younger men, and so to corrupt that and then call that love is not love. That's not love at all. That's fucking abuse. But older men, in a lot of ways, do not have a lot of power over younger women. Younger women are very powerful beings. They're very they hold a lot of cultural thing. And so it's actually the balancing point. Is a man that has achieved, his highest point of status, and a woman who is at her highest point of status. And this is like, it actually works the exact opposite. This is why, as a young man, I would pursue older women. That is how it is supposed to work. It's the whole thing. The problem is, and it's like, when I think of the archetype that's presented to everyone of young people, it's like, yeah, you find the guy you went to school, or these things like young love and all this. That is the kind of exception. I think that is the fucking gauntlet of fire. I think that should be protected and assisted at all levels as highly as possible, because it is already so fragile and fucking vulnerable. And like, that's the real tinderbox, is that young couples, especially young parents, because you're on opposite trajectories. The woman is at the height of her power, and so she's sacrificing all of her fucking youthful fucking power that she will have to be a mother. And then she's inflicted to have to live with a young man, which in the beginning might seem fine, but then you're living with a young man who's a fucking immature fucking moron. And he's supposed to be the father figure for your children. And he will be. He has a really good chance of being there in the future. But these two people will inevitably try and kill each other. And that's never been worse because it's not supported by economics or by the culture. You're instantly up against it. Everyone thinks that you're going to be irresponsible parent. Everyone thinks whatever. You're being preyed upon by older men and older women. You haven't really learnt how to live. So you're vulnerable to all this type of, cultural presentation of this is the norm. Well, this is the norm. And it might take 20 years before you figure out what was the norm and what was being pushed down your throat. And at that point, you're at such opposite ends of the spectrum, and it's like, that's where it's like, if you've gone through that together and you've maintained that, then that's where you get these marriages into the 50, 60, 70, 80 years. But it's fairly unlikely in this culture. And then everything else is being commoditized. There is a heavy commoditization towards, presenting younger men to older women. This is what like the Elephant and Wheelbarrow was. It made a lot of money doing that, selling drinks and having a band and, selling these things. That is a lot of what was going on. And then there is a cohort now of all the young people being dragged through like what is perceived as a rite of passage by a very noisy, very liberated LGBTQ fucking movement around the world who are celebrating their culture and kind of enforcing it onto people. The nightclub culture, the fucking DJ culture, the drug culture, the sex culture, the multiple fucking partners, the debaucherous fucking thing. It's like there's no that party is being paid for and supported by everyone else who's being now dispossessed by it, and their culture is destroyed by it. And it is sweeping around the world, and it is basically, it went way too far. And so we need to start hearing, we need to start limiting this. It's like, this isn't my culture. The way the fucking world is now, the way the children are being ushered through this fucking bullshit factory. Probably appropriate calling it the factory, because that was what Andy Warhol did, a famous homosexual New York fucking artist who was made internationally famous by painting a fucking soup can and calling his place the factory. It's like, yeah, it might have been cool fucking 50 years ago, but it's not cool when it's McDonald's and it's on every fucking street corner and it's in every fucking kids TV station, and it's you know what I mean? And you had to fucking corrupt some of our most precious fucking fairy tales and folklore to do it. And yeah, it is the highest level of offense, and I really hope that we can recover from it as a whole. And I'll take responsibility for my culture where it is needed, and then I will support my culture where it was needed. And it's like, yes, there was discrimination, there was all these things, but well, can you blame us now? And maybe if you're caught in these things, you were put in prison or whatever, there was horrible crimes committed, but we weren't out there looking at it. We weren't trying to destroy it. Like we didn't try and destroy the story of Achilles. We didn't burn the books of Achilles. We didn't try and disgrace the story of Achilles. We still supported that within our culture. It was there. if you looked. So, oh, look, here's a story that's been passed down for thousands of years about a fucking demigod and his lover who was a younger man. Still highly fucking supported. It was right there alongside Cinderella the whole time. It wasn't the place that it went. I think there's an unconscious pressure onto heterosexual men to be ashamed of their sexuality, and there is an overwhelming fucking racket and raucous fucking thing, never ending, 24/7 fucking dance party going on of homosexual men celebrating their sexuality. And I feel like it is. I feel like homosexual men are corrupting, and actually all men. As I got older, I realized how much older men actually hinder and attack younger men. It's really fucking common. It's engineered level fucking disruption. Some of that's good, some of that's bad. And then it is the same with women. It's like older women are corrupting younger women at such an intensity at the moment that it is not even funny. I'll end with an analogy. So when I was a young man, I was 20. I just moved into my first house, like a rental with my children's mother, but we hadn't had children yet. As a young 20-year-old man, having my own house is like one of the first. It's like I had porno mags, which is like, yeah, there was porn, but even that, I didn't really even have that. There was, I think, between all of my friend group, like we had like 2 or 3 pornos that we would lend to each other, and that wasn't that long ago. But then there was magazines, and I had a magazine, and I hid it behind the mirror of our ensuite. And my 20-year-old girlfriend, my children's mother, found that and got absolutely furious. And that wasn't unheard of. That was completely legitimate at that time. That was 18 years ago. That wasn't 100 years ago. That was 18 fucking years ago. And it wasn't like I was like, and I was kind of ashamed. I was like, yeah, I've got a porno mag behind the thing. Oh. A better fucking list. I didn't stop, obviously, but it was like, it wasn't like laughable. Whereas now, you take a couple now in their 20s, a young couple who's 20 and they've just moved in with each other. There's no doubt in anyone's mind that the young guy has a fucking watches porn on his phone, high definition pornography. And a lot of times displaying young women pretending to be children. Yeah, I can kind of see what's going on. It's like that is going on. And then I guarantee you, it's like, it doesn't matter if I was a conquering fucking hero of the entire Western fucking world right now, as a 39-year-old man, and I try and openly date Donald Trump's granddaughter because I think she's fucking beautiful and has this wonderful like maturity that is higher than most women in their 50s. I would be attacked. I'd be called all these things. You know what I mean? And it would get down to the specifics. It's like, when did you first see her? How old was she then? You're a fuck. And it's like, this is literally what's going on. And I think it's like, I think of these fairy tales and stuff, and it's like, well, it was bad enough when there was one evil queen you know what I mean, trying to kill Cinderella or trying to kill Snow White. Now there is a fucking entire fucking army of these cunts. They've got control of the entire fucking world. And they're not having to kill Cinderella or Snow White or make her fall asleep or do any of these things. It's like they're making them fucking destroy. They're corrupting all the things. And that, I think, is what Disney couldn't do. Disney was very subtle, maybe too subtle. Oh, she's gone to sleep, you know. Or Cinderella, what happened to Cinderella? She was made to fucking sweep the floor and stuff like that. Because at that time of the class thing, that was a class-based story. So somebody at the ball, obviously the prince would never care about somebody who's sweeping the floor. And this is where is like there is again this kind of a corruption of this, because it's like, well, clearly Donald Trump's granddaughter is Prince Charming. And there's like a backwards fucking flipped inversion because I'm arguably sweeping the floor and I'm stuck in, and it's like this fucking, it's so insane. But what wouldn't be displayed by Disney is that these women, her stepmother and sisters, or the fucking evil queen or anything, they wouldn't, if they were truly fucking evil, which they are, they wouldn't stop at that. They would corrupt within the young princess exactly what it was that was desired by the prince in the first place, which is her purity and her fucking her kind of, it's, you could say virginity, but it's not even about virginity. It's about her uncorruptedness. The fact that she's uncorrupted by the culture that has led these older women to be so evil. You know what I mean? And it's like, this is, it's like, it's all there. It's like the in the form of Snow White, it's literal because it's literally the fucking the evil queen married the whatever, and it's like you just take some things away to make sure they're not related, and it's like it's pretty fucking clear, this stuff. And that is what these things are. That's what OnlyFans is. That's what fucking the pornography is. It was the silver bullet provided, undoubtedly by homosexual fucking businessmen and older women to shield this entire thing and to corrupt not just one Cinderella, not just one Snow White, to all of them at the same fucking time, in every level, every fucking dimension, and then claim that they're overseeing them. Oh, we're stopping these women being victimized by these filthy, dirty old men who we're married to. It's like, that's the bit that is never, it's like, how is this fucking holding? How is this staying together? When we have thousands and thousands of years of this beautiful culture, it's like, how is this fucking lie, this inversion, this attack holding stable right now? How are there fucking millions and millions of wives around the world supposedly protecting the interests of young women victims while they are the number one beneficiaries of that fucking industry? Why isn't this being described? Why isn't this being brought and bubbled to the top of the fucking surface of our fucking conversation? It's like, what happens to all the marriages out there? To all the older women who are married, if tomorrow the pornography is turned off, what happens? Why are we protecting women probably in their 50s and 60s who are supposedly victimized by this fucking, by the I don't know, the very top level of this industry in a completely different time? Why are their identities being protected and they're being, called victims While that same age group now, that same cohort of women are now celebrating the liberation of the younger women, who, by my decree, as a mature father of three, who's sitting there saying the hypersexualization of young women around the world in the form of pornography and OnlyFans and just drug culture and alcohol culture and binge drinking culture and materialist fucking shopaholic fucking clueless culture, all that stuff is a corruption of the things in young women that older men find the most appealing and the most attractive, which has almost nothing to do with sex. And it's the same in reverse. It's like if you hypersexualize the young women, then they will perceive the older women as the older men as like old and not as good at sex or something like that. It's like, when did sex become the fucking the whole story? Cinderella doesn't have any fucking sex in it. Who is viewing the world? And this is coming again from someone who would basically describe myself as a sex addict for the first half of my adult life, or actually still. But it's like that's not what this is. So it's like within this, it's like, is that being exposed as like the purest form of fucking whatever, of love or something like that? And I think that this probably exists in the homosexual world, but it is being drowned out by the hypersexualization, by the hyper fucking debaucherous culture that has protected this discriminated against culture. And so what's the solution? It's like, well, we need the fucking homosexual Cinderella, don't we? You know what I mean? Like that, we need that. At the same time as the old Cinderella. And we need to stop celebrating a subculture that emerged within, as a recovery from discrimination. And this is where I'll end here and say that we're in Australia. We have a discriminate against culture here. It's called the Aboriginal people. They're some of the most discriminated. They've had the hardest fucking time out of almost anywhere on earth. And they have a culture as well that has emerged within, the aftermath of their heaviest levels of discrimination. It's a culture of binge drinking, of antisocial, of violence, of incest, of all these things, like a kind of that's why it's latched on to other cultures that are the same, experiencing the same thing, like hip hop culture and gangster culture in the United States. And we've done the same thing. It's like we've hyper celebrated what I think is a reactive and should be appropriately temporary recovery period for a dispossessed culture. It shouldn't be pushed to the pinnacle of society, and it shouldn't overthrow and overshadow the traditions of order and civilization that came before it. And this is the same. It's like, and we shouldn't oversimplify Western civilization or English, British civilization or any of these things as that, it was because of all the princesses in Cinderella that we were racist. It's like, no, we were all racist. We all still are. There is, it is one of the most normal things in the world to identify someone as other, especially if you want their stuff, and then to discriminate against them. And that is what we did as a whole. And it's actually the thing that civilizes us to the point where we do perpetuate these stories of Cinderella, and we have this chivalrous nature and these archetypes of the pure princess and the prince or whatever. That is actually what's why we're even having a discussion about discrimination, why we're attempting to make amends for that. We wouldn't be doing that without that. It's we understand your outrage, we understand your fury towards our culture, but be furious at the specific points of our culture, and we will attempt to respond in the same way, rather than just blanket statement that LGBTQ plus people are fucking horrendous fucking pedophiles, groomers. It's like a select cohort of your thing was groomers. Your culture is coming through a period of recovery, and we're hoping that you can, self-regulate and attempt to prevent yourselves from fucking, exposing the entire world to your recovery. And yeah, we would appreciate it if you'd stop cherry picking out and falsely interpreting our culture. There is a serious mistelling of all different things. Because the thing is, like, if you think of these Epstein things, these are powerful people. The projection that the people trying to attack these wealthy, influential people is that they're wealthy and influential and they don't care, they do whatever they want. No. If that was the case, they blackmail by someone like Epstein, which is clearly what's going on. And it wasn't the case not long ago. They would have just been doing it. Bill Gates wouldn't have hesitated to knock on your door and say, I quite like your daughter. Can I please take her for a fucking drive? And the parents, the daughter, everyone involved would have said, oh, you're very lucky. That's the thing. Now there is a middleman who has falsely presented a product which kind of, again, corrupts the actual urge of all parties, turns it into an industry of fucking sex trafficking, and then what's worse is turns it into a fucking blackmail thing. This is adaptive and fucking on the fly capture of information and flow of things in order to arm and to use and to weaponize it. It's reactive. It hasn't been planned from the beginning. It's an attempt to bastardize. It's basically the equivalent of killing the Tsar and his fucking things. It's like, that's what you're trying to do. And then the problem is that it's gone on so long because of the cultural outrage, because the cultural outrage is a blanket outrage. It's like from 0 to fucking 17, you're a pedophile. And it's like that needs to be split up. And on both genders needs to be fucking split up. It's like, this is insanity. One fucking word covering all phenomenons in fucking human history of this interaction between adults and fucking children. One word. It's like the Nazi fucking phenomenon. Everyone's a fucking Nazi. It's like this is what leads to all this hysteria, and we don't get any fucking solutions out of it. And it's so taboo. And a lot of these, because these people are in power and they've got influence and they're trying to do things, it's like they have to constantly read the fucking room of the court. It's like a king's court. They're going to read the room of the court. They go, well, I thought everyone was doing it. Blah, 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 blah. This is fucking whatever. They're all calling me fucking pedophiles because that's the strongly emotive fucking word. And there are things, it's like there was an entitlement, you know what I mean? And it's a corruption of themselves because they don't, I think in a lot of cases, these powerful men didn't actually realize the power and influence they had. They've fallen prey to, or fallen victim to their own like carnal desires of the flesh and haven't been able to, to bolster themselves with something more symbolic. And also in their defense, they didn't feel that was culturally acceptable anymore. And so they've done something that's far more culturally unacceptable, but secretively. And it's the same as drugs. It's like the amount of people that were, doing cocaine and are now feeling that they can come out and brag about it. And it's like, it's still culturally unacceptable. I would put it, it's maybe not the same level, but it's like a rich man having sex with a 16-year-old and a fucking, and a closet fucking cocaine addict. I don't know, pretty fucking similar. The only problem is it's not the men soliciting the younger women that are coming out and being loud and proud about it. It's the gay people that are fucking basically, building a hypnotic fucking psychiatric fucking drug-fueled fucking production line of young men and women. And all of this happens because no one's fucking talking about it. Everyone's just talking about fucking headlines and fucking what this means. You know, how many people jump on the bandwagon of saying Leonardo DiCaprio's fucking 20-year-olds? It's like, what do you want Leonardo DiCaprio to do? You know, he's like one of the best actors in the fucking world. He's trying to fix the planet and he likes fucking 20-year-olds. And it's like, yeah, what do you want him to fucking do? It's clear that he's doing like what he feels and what he thought actors are supposed to do. And he's done a really good job at it. He doesn't have to try and fix the world. He's already probably feels a little bit guilty enough that he's this famous fucking actor and he's done these things, whatever, because that's part of it. You know, he can get young women, and he wants to, so he does it. And then he's trying to fix the world however he can. Just, you know, he's busy. He's got a lot of things on his hands. And then he's being declared as like a fucking pedophile. He's not a pedophile. He's Leonardo DiCaprio. And this is the thing. It's like, it's the funniest thing is, it's all the women calling Leonardo DiCaprio a pedophile because he's 50 and he likes to have sex with 20 or 18-year-olds, whatever the fuck it is. They're the same women that were fucking, you know, drooling over him as a child, as a teen fucking idol. And now probably have a new teen idol, and he's now an old man. It's like, it's fucking insane. It's insane. All of it is insane. And all of it needs to be fucking appropriately fucking talked about. And anyone who tries to fucking do anything like that is pulled off the fucking out of the conversation. This happened with that Milo fucking bloke who started talking about, because I think he said the quiet bit out loud and then got cancelled for it. And now he's in absolute fucking stress and he's had to revert back to being a Catholic. So he's still actually a victim of all this bullshit. Because basically he says like, oh, yeah, I got groomed by fucking older gay men and then like raised up through this supportive network of being gay. And he was championing that. And then he got cancelled for it. And now he's turned into a Catholic bagging out all the gays. It's like, that's because it's not being spoken about. He was a victim. You know, he's no different than the victims in the fucking Epstein files, except he was a gay man. And as soon as he fucking came out and said anything, he was fucking attacked. Pretty fucking simple shit. You know what I mean? It's got to be like, it's as a man, like, it is not uncommon for older men to look at young women who are underage and think that they're beautiful, and that's what happens. You know, it is supposed to be culturally reinforced, not just based on how much money you have or how much fucking whatever. It's like, it's supposed to be culturally reinforced because it is a corruption of that thing. The attraction to the young woman is immediately corrupted if you act on it beyond the fucking thing, or you pay for it, or you turn it into a fucking, all those things, right? That's why it's disgusting. It's not disgusting because they want to do it. They're not fucking pedophiles because they want to do it. It's disgusting and fucking antisocial and wrong because it is a corruption of the actual true reason to why the attraction is there. You know what I mean? And that can only be culturally reinforced if it becomes normalized for older men to court younger women. You know, respectfully, responsibly, and transparently. If they're not allowed to, you know, if they're not allowed to present their highest level of fucking chivalry, and then this is what we get. We end up with a fucking industry of fucking disgusting fucking bullshit that corrupts every single person except the people making money from it. No one should be making money off the, you know, the natural instincts and sexual intuitiveness and whatever of young women or of old men or vice versa. It shouldn't be happening. And the reason it doesn't happen in the reverse is because young men are so fucking horny that the cougars just pick them off. They don't need to pay for them. They don't need to pretend that they don't. You know what I mean? But it's like, maybe we should start fucking, you know, going down that alley and start hyper fucking publicizing the exploits of of cougars around the fucking world. Because it's a skewed thing. It's like there's no sympathy for that. And so there's no comparison. It's like, well, this is the fucking thing. But there is no doubt in my mind that it is that led to the destruction of my marriage. It's like, why isn't that being classed as a crime against fucking humanity? It's the same thing. There is corruption everywhere. You know, in my case with the cougars, it's like cougars should have been, they should be incorporated into that and help supplement the fucking desires of young married men openly and transparently. And yeah, and as far as the rest of it, I don't know. I don't have hard and fast solutions. I have observations and I have historical reference and I have a kind of spoon and a pair of binoculars that allows me to connect certain bits. And I have my own ability to speak about things. But this attempt across the fucking world to extract and implant kind of a meter or a generator in these places and then corrupt them and then use them. It's ingenious. Like it definitely is fucking ingenious. You can't, but how do you beat that? Like fucking hell. You got between this fucking historic drive and desire. It's so funny. As soon as I read the comment, it's like this. My hand goes straight to punch you. So, you know, I wish you all the best in your fucking physical fucking interactions in the world because you're going to get your nose broken one day, mate, and probably your teeth knocked out and probably lots of other things because you're a cunt. So just thought I'd fucking let you know that. If you want to watch the whole fucking 3-year-long thing, mate, you can go on my Facebook and have a look. If you want to jump in and fucking, you know, do these little things, you can fuck off. Yeah, there's a little generator implanted in these places. It shouldn't be. It's like, it's kind of, what would it be like? It's bad enough that kids want sweets and lollies and, you know, there's a whole fucking thing filled with lollies and they put this thing in to get the parents to buy the lollies. But it's kind of like, imagine the equivalent is like you make kids go through a fucking, like a weird little thing where they do all these sexual acts to get the fucking lolly and then you blackmail them for the rest of their life based on that. That's literally the world. And fucking 90% of fucking everyone in it is condoning this fucking shit by the fact that it exists. And it's like, we've already seen that this is fucking happening, that there's this multi-fucking level, multi-generational fucking blackmail fucking bullshit going on. But everyone is so fucking hyper concerned with what they talk about, how they talk about it, anything like this. You know, all of it's fucking nasty and fucking terrible. So everyone should be fucking addressing it. But no one is, and it's no different. So imagine that. Imagine there's like, oh, that's the secret door in the thing. And they ask, what happens in that secret door where you come out with lollies? Oh, I go in there and I pull my pants off and take photos, and then there's this and this. And the parents are just like, no. What lolly did you get today? Like that's this thing. No one's fucking talking about the larger interconnections between it. So what were the parents doing while these fucking kids were being prostituted by Jeffrey Epstein? What did the women do with the money? You know what I mean? What was the promotional thing? Like, was it word of mouth? Probably. Like what were they exposed to? What were they watching on TV that led them to the thing that this? What fucking keep going down the fucking line. We've got to sketch out this whole thing. You've replaced an entire fucking culture with fucking commercialism, materialism. Like, this is what you're going to get. And as a defender of my culture and like whatever, and a, you know, maintainer of this thing and trying to bring it to where it's like, I know what I've got. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I know what I've got. It's like, I want to know what the fuck all of you were doing. And and why it continuously leads to this very, very sophisticated fucking entrapment fucking things by everyone fucking involved. Even this, Stephen Wells, honestly, I feel bad for the kids. Oh crap, Dad's a cooker. This is, again, this is like, these fucking people are there. They describe somebody talking, trying to sketch as a cooker. They fucking do this shit. This is what happens when you perpetuate a culture that doesn't talk about things. You know what I mean? Like literally right now. And like if I think of 15 years ago and this was occurring, it would be all over the news. Do you know how I know? Because what was all over the news was in Africa. There was a fucking, you know, a big push against genital mutilation by what we got described as these backwards fucking pagan fucking devil worshipping witch doctors who were mutilating women's genitals, right? But right now, you know, an hour away from me, the premier of our fucking state, who is a fucking son of a fucking child psychiatrist, who's fucking perpetuated this fucking gender bullshit, this psychiatric, this medical intervention fucking thing on these people. There is literally there are girls having both of their fucking breasts cut off to try and manifest masculinity. Or the image of masculinity, to try and present the image of masculinity. That's going on. But the conversation about how in fucking less than 2 decades, we went from one extreme to the other is not going on. What's going on is that people in my comment section are calling me a cook and saying they feel bad for my kids because I'm trying to prevent fucking mass fucking mutilation and mass indoctrination and mass psychological abuse, mass fucking, you know, pharmaceutical and medical fucking indoctrination by my own fucking government. And these people are like, if there are lines drawn, you're going to walk back with a gun behind that line. Yeah. Stephen Wells, fucking John, that's what you're in. You're in the camp there. You're sitting there alongside Roger Cook, fucking cutting the tits off of fucking 16-year-olds. Holy shit. Holy fucking shit. You cunts are going to get fucking mowed down. You cunts are going to get fucking just like, I'm not that fucking, you know, I don't have that kind of violent fucking thing. People do. People are going to chop you up with fucking chainsaws and shit like that. People are going to feed you to the fucking sharks. They're going to take this demersal. They're going to fucking fish for jewfish with your fucking carcasses. Like, what the fuck do you think that you're all doing? If you're a young woman who wants to feel more manly, you know what I mean? Tape your fucking boobs up if you want. And go and build a fucking house. You know what I mean? Go and ride a horse. Go and play in a fucking heavy metal band. Go and do anything else except cut your fucking tits off. And anyone who's fucking trying to tell you that you should cut your fucking tits off is a very disturbed fucking person. You know what I mean? It's a very highly disturbed fucking person. And if that person calls himself a doctor, then that person needs to fucking be in handcuffs on this day in Western Australia. I don't fucking care what has happened in other parts of the world. I care about what's happened here. If you're claiming to be a doctor and you've fucking removed fucking healthy breasts from a fucking woman, an underage woman in this fucking country, in this state, you're to be in handcuffs by the end of the day. You're to be publicly fucking questioned, not hidden, not fucking, you know what I mean? Not fucking tucked away in some fucking corner, because you're not going to live here again. We're not going to imprison you. You're not here in our system. You'll be sent directly to fucking Iran after this. But before you're sent to Iran, we will learn from you exactly what it is that you think you were fucking doing that here. And then you'll be sent on a fucking ship to Iran to explain to all the people in Iran what you were doing. Why on fucking earth would our government be doing this? Why? Why would this be a line that the potential civil war would fucking align on? You know, how many things have people stacked on based on this? What type of fucking arrangements? What are these people's day-to-day fucking lives like? You know, what are their jobs? Who the fuck are you people? This isn't a global event. This isn't even a national event. This is a West Australian event right now that's happening. We are the fucking most isolated fucking capital city in the entire fucking world. How did this fucking get here and sink its fucking teeth in? How did it get, like, how? Into our fucking hospitals. Not are we going to stop it? Not a political thing. It's like this is immediately being fucking halted right here, and the people are being brought to immediate fucking exposure, and then we will fucking distribute that around the world. We want the explanation. What the fuck do you think you were doing? 100 years ago, you would have had to arrive here on a fucking horse and cart or a month at sea journey. So this has come in via the fucking internet. It's come in via the fucking phone lines and all this shit, right? Which is okay. I watch fucking videos on how to make compost and things like that on the internet. But what is it that, you know, because think of it's like this, it's an extreme ideology, isn't it? So is Catholicism. So don't get me wrong. This isn't the fucking thing. It's like Catholicism was here. You know, we're fighting, battled that, but this has come in recently. This wasn't existing. It's come in here via the internet. It's here. It's an extremist ideology. What were the steps that allowed this extremist ideology to go from fucking, you know, chat rooms and fucking forums into our hospital system? How did it get in there? And what are we going to do? Because we need to know so that we can prevent the million other fucking extreme ideologies that are going to attempt the same thing. You know, the veneer of fucking medicalness of like doctors with masks on and fucking anesthesia and fucking beep, beep, stethoscopes and fucking doctor, surgeon, all of that is standing in the way of this, of the answer of like, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you fucking doing in there? And right now that's taking place here on a fucking camera. It's like, here it is, right? You can ignore it or you can not ignore it. But very soon that's going to fucking appear as a fucking cannon of a fucking tank poking right through the fucking surgical room in which you're about to fucking make the incision. Then a select fucking group of highly trained fucking military personnel are going to extract your potential victim, and they are going to gut you and make you bleed out in your operating room. It's a surgical fucking liberation of a victim of an extremist ideology. Surgical, you know what I mean? Down to the millimeter, that fucking cannon will push into the thing. The millimeter, those people will selectively train, you know, central mass fucking kill shots on all of you. And then we will go through all your archives and we will display to the West Australian people exactly how you were indoctrinated, how you were fucking brought to this fucking thing, how you implanted in our state system, how you fucking regulated and kept fucking everyone else at bay, how your fucking last couple of years has been spent. And we will tell that story to every single fucking person in the state. And then once we're finished doing that, we will sell that to the fucking other states. And then we will sell that to the world. It sends shivers down my spine. These people are fucking, probably within a fucking 10-minute walk at most. They sit there and fucking, they sit down and eat their dinner. They have a shower. They put on their fucking clothes, and then they go to fucking work, and they cut healthy breasts off of a young woman. Off an underage girl. So that she can present as a man. Not in some type of like, we're the Amazons fucking whatever, and we're going to take on this other fucking army, and we'll impede your fucking, but like I know the mythologies. I know all the things about it, right? I know that stuff. I know you feel like you're in some type of war. That war will not be fought where breasts are a fucking inconvenience to your fucking bow shooting. My balls, they're a fucking inconvenience. They're very fragile. I don't need them anymore because I've already procreated. I've already done all these things. They're still providing me with enough, beautiful testosterone to allow me to do. But it's like I don't need them, and they're annoying, and they get in the way. They fucking squeeze between my legs. They're constantly fucking annoying. I have more of a fucking reason than anyone in the fucking world to remove my balls. Okay. And if I've already experimented with the feminines, I like it. So it'd be fun. And you know what I mean? I'll probably live longer. I'll probably be less fucking whatever. I'll have this new lease on life. I get to have this second fucking life. It makes sense, doesn't it? It all makes fucking sense. But there's more pushback to me fucking saying that than there are on kids. Prove me wrong that there isn't. I have a fucking select bunch of haters that will be like, meh, 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 because who knows where the fuck I'm at. If I go out as a 40-year-old man and I go, imagine this. It's like I go to a school, I say, I'm a 40-year-old man. I've got 3 fucking children. My balls get in the way while I'm trying to fucking ride my bike and do different things. And, they're annoying, and the testosterone is going to make me fucking probably go bald, probably look really old. And, I wouldn't mind trying this thing. I'm going to fucking cut my balls off, right? I will get more pushback than the people cutting these fucking tits off young fucking girls. I will get more abuse. I haven't even mentioned anything about trans fucking anything. I haven't even mentioned anything about cross-dressing or any fucking thing. Not one fucking thing. And the reason that is because it's perceived that I'm fair game because I'm old enough and of my senses that this is a decision that's being made consciously, and my fucking conscious effort to distribute the fact is just some type of self-indulgent fucking narcissism where I'm saying this. Yet the young girl, after 2 fucking visits, getting her breasts removed, completely protected. No outrage. No outrage on the parents. No outrage on the doctors. No on all the doctors. No outrage on the government that's funding it. No outrage on the hospitals that's fucking allowing it. No outrage on anyone. Not one little fucking bit. How fucking powerful are these fucking lesbians? Honestly, that's what I want to know. How fucking powerful? How big is that fucking chip on your fucking lesbian shoulder? That this is the level of shit that you've fucking gone to create your fucking deformed fucking army that is useless because we're not going to have any fucking physical fucking war like that. There's nothing. That's what I've shown. That's what I've been showing here. For hundreds of years, my culture has celebrated a fucking egalitarian, fucking, diplomatic, spoken fucking self-regulation. And you implanting that in the fucking dark, you fucking do these things and you start doing these fucking ceremonies in these fucking temples of fucking doom. For a result that never comes. It's like I've spent the majority of my time honing this ability and not honing my ability to fucking, to pull back 100-pound fucking bow and ride a fucking horse one-handed, because this is the time we're in. This is the technology. This is the fucking landscape that we're going to take battle on. It's going to be in the English language. It's going to be an explanation. It's going to be this. I know that in the movies, in the things, there's lots of fucking masculine, and everyone's got guns and everyone's getting ready for some war. It's like, okay, yeah, if we go to war, I'm already pretty old. Yeah. I'll still run in fucking thing with my gun and do my fucking job. This is my manifestation of fucking warriorness, warrior culture, from my culture, from the culture that gave birth to your country that you're in, that you've done this. And it's unchanged. This is what my ancestor was doing fucking 400 years ago. 400 years ago. Political discussion. Political discussion is supposed to be fucking, combative, heavily combative, heavily fucking this, like this. Two fucking people going at it. And I'm still waiting for someone to rock up. I'm still waiting for the super fucking dyke to rock up and explain to me why they're fucking encouraging this bullshit. I've been watching you the whole fucking time of my life. I know what you fucking lesbians are like. I know the fucking chip on your shoulder. I know the way that you groom these little fucking women and you pull them in and you get them in. The men are all fucking shit. I'll look after you. You suck on my tits and cut your fucking tits off, you little fucking dolly. Cut your little fucking tits off, you little dolly. We're going to win this fucking war against the men. That fucking chip. And I think that's the fucking most concerning. So I've addressed pretty heavily the fucking, exuberant homosexual gay men on men, fucking poof to fucking, George Michael culture. It's like, okay, yep, there we go. That has a flavor to it. It has a flavor of like, we were doing all this responsible stuff for all of you, and then you discriminated us because we like men and all this thing, and now we're just going to celebrate and not do anything. That's okay. I get it. All right, I get that. I get it. And some of them are like, I like the boys and thing. And then it's like there's a weird mix of like the trans thing is coming combined from the heterosexual. That's why it's so bad. And the gays are getting the fucking blame, but the gays don't care. The gays are like, I like little boys. I like young boys. I like young men. I like all these fucking things. It's like, that's what that is. It's like, it's the heterosexual fucking men that have been normalized into this pornography, fucking sex trafficking fucking world that are like, well, it's kind of kinky and taboo to get a boy that looks like a girl. That's what fucking creates it all. And it's like, then that's again, it's a kind of a different fucking thing. You're not removing anything. You're not doing all these things. It's like, just let them at least get to fucking 19. I don't want to sit at 18. So 18, you're allowed to have a drink. At 19, you're allowed to decide whether you want to go on fucking hormone blockers and all these things. And the technology will deal with the fucking things. It's like if the hair removal, all that, it's like whatever. You know what I mean? Or it's like if you want to not fucking go to some other fucking country and create your little eunuchs. Do you know what I mean? I don't fucking care. I don't want it being done here. But the fucking lesbian thing, the thought that you're removing your breast, it's like that's way different because the breasts do not come into play until you're a mother. And how do I know this? Because my children's mother
decided from social pressure to not breastfeed our children, but to feed them formula. And as a 20-year-old man, I had absolutely zero sway in dispersuading her to do that, because she was persuaded by her female peers that breastfeeding would ruin her boobs and this would be this and that the formula is healthier and all that shit. And that shows the fucking strength of social pressure and social persuasion and the stupidity and the fucking conformity of young fucking adults. Because it's no different. It's like, that's the same. That's the 18 years ago. The way that women's breasts were fucking bastardized and corrupted is that they were given formula in exchange for their fucking healthy breast milk. And the never-ending fucking hunger for extreme things, you know, for progress, now enforces that they have to cut their fucking tits off to fight this gender war, so that the evil old rich men aren't preying upon the young, vulnerable women. No, they're not. They never were. The old women are preying on the young women, just like always. Why would an old, powerful, successful man feel the need to, you know, inflict power over a young woman? They don't. They're regulating their power with the young woman because the young woman is the only person who has power over them. The one thing they don't have power over is their female peers. And this is the display of the mothering archetype, that the mother archetype is always positive and always is no. Traditionally, it's like, yeah, your mother, you have a pretty good chance of her being nurturing thing. If someone else's mother wants to kill you or wants to corrupt you, you have a pretty high likelihood of them being effective at that as well, because that's someone else's mother doing that to you is protecting their child. And this gets back to the tree of good and evil and all these things. It's like, to be a protective mother, you have to, you know, part of your job is to corrupt and to destroy your enemy's fucking children. And this is what this cohort of fucking lesbians and fucking extreme thing, they're bragging about it. They put it on signs and run down the street. We're going to take your children. We're going to take your children. Like, and this, weirdly enough, is because they were rejected by Prince Charming. At some point. Even if it wasn't, even if it was Princess Charming, or if it was the culture, or it was the fucking McDonald's attendee, I don't know. But somewhere along the lines, they've fucking lost track. If they haven't had children, they've turned the world into their children. And so it's not even selective. The two most damaging things I've seen is Western women overprotecting and over fucking pandering towards their children, which even just by their actions is corrupting and affecting other people's children. And the women without children enacting changes onto the society that are clearly affected by kind of a hatred that is brewed for the fact that they haven't been given children by whatever means. And all of these forces are being unchallenged in our political system because they're coming from women, and we do not have fair play of political discourse or discussion across the gender divide at all. All the men have been pushed out, and now they're starting to push the women out that are putting forward the male point of view, or the majoritively male point of view, the majoritively heterosexual male point of view. This is what hens do. They henpeck a fucking thing to death. They've already done it to all the men. There is no place in our current fucking iteration of our, displayed broadcast political discourse for appropriate discussions to take place across this gender divide. And so the psychopaths and sociopaths are fucking literally skewing all the fucking genders so that there is never a hope to have that. And my job is to prevent that. My job is to say, hi, I'm here as a man, father of 3, and I'm ready to have this discussion out in the fucking open with every single fucking person that has built this system around me, that has corrupted my culture and attempted to fucking bring degradation and fucking debauchery in its place. I'm ready to have that conversation now. Who are your representatives? Where are they? Why aren't they responding? Why are these fucking operations still going on? Why wasn't there an original challenge, despite the fucking, obvious fucking extreme nature of the fucking things that you are fucking perpetrating? And unlike you, I've done the due diligence to make sure that I'm not simplistic in my fucking retaliation. I'm not simplistic. I don't go down to just, the LGBTQ movement, which is unfortunately too large a cohort to do that with. Purposefully, that's how they did it. You forged an army. You formed an army in the world. You gave it a flag. You gave it a fucking title. You gave it fucking orders. But you didn't fucking tell them all the full story. So as the largest, one of the largest fucking opponents of this thing, so I end up having to protect most of your people from like an exaggerated over retaliation, because it's not. There is a small cohort of people at the top of this fucking thing who have attempted this mass indoctrination of the entire fucking globe down some twisted fucking ideological fucking nightmare, and now they are standing unopposed and still fucking celebrating their fucking pseudo-religious fucking ceremonies within our fucking systems, financed by our government. Why are you? And why aren't you fucking speaking? Who are you? Where are you? What the fuck is going on? That should be the fucking drone from the entire fucking state of it. So, all right, let's take a fucking leaf out of Iran's books, but let's do it reverse. Before they shut our fucking internet down, let's shut down the road in and out of here, all flights in and out of here, all fucking ships in and out of here, and close down the fucking internet. And then just start the drone. Where are you? Who are you? And where are you? Who are you? And where are you? And just wait for all the people to point fingers. Oh, there. We're going to run you into the fucking bush. If you have to, you want to go fucking live like you're some type of fucking pagan witch doctors, go run in the fucking bush and see how you fucking go. There's no escape. There's no one coming to save you. There's no roads out of here. There's no fucking ships out of here. There's no fucking anything. There's no flights, no trains. You are here. Where are you and who are you? Print those fucking shirts. I want to see a fucking AFL game with those fucking shirts with 50,000 people with those shirts. Who are you and where are you? Because I'm here. I've been here the whole fucking time.